There are three distinct periods of Nigerian economic growth since 1980. And the reason I've started from 1980 is because there are lessons that we can draw from what has happened to us in the past if we are going to make progress going forward. Growth matters. Wherever growth comes from, growth matters. It is very, very important for every economy to grow. If you do not grow, then we see the consequences in unemployment. The problem we have seen in the last 2 years is a demonstration that in addition to high oil prices, in the year 2000, the macroeconomic reforms, the monetary policy reforms, the fiscal reforms, these were not sufficient to continue to drive Nigeria's productivity. And as soon as oil prices fell, the productivity also fell. So the institutions and the underlying capabilities for sustainable growth were still missing, and I must say, they are still missing. What are the three historical lessons that we can take from there? On growth, on unemployment, on per capita. The first one is that growth matters. I know that 2 or 3 years ago, when Nigeria was growing 6%, 7%, some people started saying because of high unemployment, they started to argue that it's a jobless growth. I wonder what they will say now. Growth matters. Wherever the growth comes from, growth does matter for employment generation. When we say 1% growth, 2% growth, 3% growth, sometimes it looks like small numbers. But we have seen in the last 2 years, when growth actually fell, we saw the damage just in a matter of 2 years. A damage in the fall in growth, what it has done to Nigeria's economy. So even if it's 1% or 2% or 3%, the resulting human welfare from this growth is very, very important, and they're very enormous. Oil prices drive growth. I know that since 1970s, that has been our ambition. The ambition is how do we begin to drive growth and not rely on high oil prices. But we have not been able to do that. So far, historical lesson is that our growth is underlined by high oil prices. The third historical lesson is that wholesale reforms are not sufficient. They are macroeconomic reforms, they are helicopter reforms. Those reforms are not sufficient to drive long-term productivity and long-term increases in per capita income, and of course, long-term increases in prosperity and the reduction in poverty. And that is why, just in a matter of 2 years, the oil prices actually declined. We started to see the effect on the Nigerian economy. The consequence here is that we need a deeper process of reform that will transform education, infrastructure, and governance. If we are going to grow our economy over a long term, these are the issues that we need to look at, and not just monetary policy, exchange rate. Until that begins to happen, we cannot begin to talk about long-term economic prosperity. Thank you.